And here we go.
She can run the baseline right here if need be.
Championship play. Nikki
Take a timeout if needed.
She's got the ball here. And gets the ball to Rachel Collins with 20 seconds left to go. They're going to try to get a set here. Haley Driscoll up top here. They're looking for a little something here. A little tentative. Mackenzie Brown has the ball and a pass and the layup with 6 seconds left to go. Coming down the line, no stupid fouls here. She goes to the hoop for the shot. And there's a whistle. They've won the game. Bedford High School has won the state championship game here.
Welcome to a special edition of Behind the Scenes. I'm Mike Robinson, and along with me a special guest, Sue Thomas, Division I head coach, Lady Bulldogs, D1 champion.
Yep.
Welcome, Sue.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. Does that get old, hearing that?
Not at all. Not at all. You can say it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty special year. The Lady Bulldogs, they went 16-2 regular season, and then you hadn't won a playoff game in the previous 4 years at Bedford in the history
of varsity basketball in Bedford.
And this year you didn't lose a game.
Right.
How special? Tell us a little bit about that little run you had.
You know, it was great. Early in the season, we were picked early on, like, to finish around third or fourth, and we just made some team goals right from the get-go. Our first goal was to finish in the top 4 of the division, and we finished second. So then when we got into the playoffs, you know, goal number 1 was to win a playoff game. We've been in the playoffs in Division II 3 times previously. We always lost in the first round. So that was goal number 1. So we got through that game, set the next goal. The next goal was just to win the quarterfinals, to have the opportunity to play at Southern New Hampshire. For the girls, that's big time up here. So we won that game, and then obviously our goal to win the semifinals was to be able to play for the championship game against BG. And you know, once you get to the championship game, of course your goal is to win it. So we just kind of did baby steps all the way through. It's hard to say you want to win the state championship when you've never won a playoff game. So we just kind of took it. That was always in the back of our minds, but we took it one step at a time.
And 39-38 against a very tough BG. What a thriller. And we'll be talking about this game for decades down the road. It was such a thrilling finish. And we're going to get to that, because what we're going to do after we get through some preliminary questions is we're going to then roll the fourth quarter, and we're going to just do a little play-by-play. I'll do some color, and you can tell us what's going on, and I think it'll be kind of interesting for the folks out there.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again.
To get a perspective.
Really.
But give me a little background. Where does Sue Thomas come from? Little history, high school, college. How'd you get to be the head coach?
As far as basketball goes, I played since I was 12. I played basketball at Niagara University. 2 years into that, I had knee surgery back in the day when knee surgery ended your career. So my coach actually kept me on as a student assistant coach, and she didn't have an assistant coach, so I got to help out at practice. For 2 years after that, I was the full-time assistant coach at the University of Detroit, which was a Division I team, ranked 25th in the nation. So, you know, I went right from college into college coaching, actually. I learned that I love the on-the-court stuff. I'm not a salesperson, so I didn't like the recruiting part of it. And recruiting is probably 75–80% of a coach's life, pretty much. And that part, that just wasn't for me. So I knew, you know, I didn't want to stay at that level because it's recruiting all the time. So by then, I actually had an MBA and got a real job. Started coaching. I coached middle school in the Detroit area. I lived there for a little while. And then Bob and I were married, moved around a bit and had kids. And then eventually ended up in Bedford. It was our 4th move in 4 years. Ended up in Bedford, and when my kids were 7, 6, and 2, I got involved with the Bedford Basketball League. Somebody heard they needed a girls coach. I wanted to get back into it, so I started coaching like 7th and 8th graders in the BBL until my daughter Kate was a basketball player. And one of the years the first year she played as a 3rd grader, I was coaching another team, and just decided then that there was no way I could keep coaching someone else and not be there to watch my kids. All three of my kids are athletes. So I always coached Kate and then my other daughter, Allie, up through, in the Bedford Basketball League. When they went into high school, I still coached either CYO or back in the Bedford Basketball League until the first year of varsity at Bedford. Scott Sarsfield was the head coach, and there was actually a posting. It was my first year off the school board, so I was on the school board for 8 years. There was a lot going on. I was off the school board, and there was a posting for a volunteer assistant at the high school level, and I applied for it. And I went through the whole application process, and I was his volunteer assistant for 3 years. And then he stepped down 2 years ago, and I applied again for the job, and it was a tough interview process, and I got the job.
And they made the right choice.
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I know so. Well, that's awesome. Good having that background. There was a couple of comments in the paper, and you had a great comment about of the 10 players who started in the championship game, 8 were from Bedford.
Yep.
So tell us about that.
First of all, I think it's a great credit to the Bedford Basketball League and all the Bedford AAU teams and all the volunteers that work real hard, and that was my point. A lot of people say, there's a lot said about kids in Bedford about being privileged or whatever, but the people of Bedford volunteer, and they're always there, and I think it gives, all those girls, all 8 of them, started in the Bedford Basketball League and, run by volunteers, and moved their way up, and had some great coaches through the years. The 3 girls at Bishop Girton are all seniors. They all had older siblings that went to BG. So, it made sense for them to go to BG. That was never an issue. My 3 kids went to Trinity. Before Bedford High was built, people made the decision. Sure. Now, since those 3 went to BG, most, if not all of the players, a lot of kids are staying, and I've had a great group of kids as seen this year.
Yeah. I call those legacy kids, and the legacy kids who had the older brother and sister
They're
that
starting,
went to.
there's fewer and fewer of them. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it takes, when you win a championship, people start looking to stay home.
It does help.
It helps a lot.
And it does help that maybe now people will think that the coach does know what she's doing.
There's no question about that. We're going to get into a couple of things. Some of the things that I picked up in that game early on, especially in the first half. You scored 5 points in the first quarter compared to 8 of BG. You had 11 in the second compared to 12. But one of the things, the glaring stats that I look at is free throws in this game, because free throws, in my mind, win or lose basketball games.
And they should have in this game.
Now, in the first half, we were a little cold on the line.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it. And we really do practice free throws every day at practice.
I absolutely know that. Tell us how critical that free throw is, that one aspect of the game.
Well, we won the game by a point. And, you're given a free chance to score points. I mean, and they're huge. And really in the fourth quarter, when we were down, and at times we were down by at 9 points was the biggest.
9, yep.
The thought going through my mind, and actually even going into the game, was what I wanted from my players going into the game. Obviously it was to win. But if we didn't win, because we were playing a very good team, I didn't want the girls to walk away with the what ifs, and did we beat ourselves? And missing those free throws, if we lost by a point, there's a number of girls and the coach that would have been saying, what if? And what if I made that one? Because a couple of kids missed free throws through, And that's what made it even better, is that, we have necessarily put the game away if we made those free throws. You don't know that, because everything changes. Right. You play the whole game, And who knows, we could have gone, we were 9 for 22 from the line. We could have gone, say, 16 for 22 and lost the game. You don't know how that motivates, but I just didn't want that to be the reason and have my players.
We had more fans. Now, next year, would you simulate that by putting big speakers in your gym and blasting loud?
Well, we actually had a shooting practice earlier in the day, and we were blasting the music.
Oh, okay.
You know, the nice thing, well, there's good and bad about next year. The bad thing is we definitely have the target on our back, and we're the same team, basically. We will be the same team. It's going to be harder. Yep. At the same time, they all now have experienced it, so they know. They know what to expect. And yes, we will do some things leading up to practice, you know, should we make it that far, a little differently. So, you know, at foul shots, making sure that they look over to me and we'll come up with hand gestures or signs or something. We didn't have to do too much. We didn't change our defense the entire game, so that helped, and that was the game plan. So
speaking about defense, in the first half, you know, one of the big studs on the BG team is Megan Green, who's going to BU, from what I understand. Great player. She's got all the skills. She came up with 2 points, I think, in the first half. Finished with 11, but only had 2 free throws. What was your game plan to shut down Megan Green in a game like this? It
was to put Mackenzie Brown on her and told Mackenzie, you're not switching on screens, you're not helping out, you are on Megan. And Megan Green is a phenomenal ball player, but Mackenzie Brown is probably one of the more underrated players in the league because we played BG 3 times, and each time we played them, they matched each other's point totals, and they were both very low. So like the first time, I think maybe they both scored 4 points. And in the Christmas tournament, they both scored 8 points. But Mackenzie has this way of she's as strong, she's as tall, of neutralizing Megan. So Megan got most of her points when Mackenzie was on the bench in foul trouble. But, you know, the game plan on Megan was, I said to Mackenzie before the game starts, you are not coming out of the game unless Megan comes out of the game. Foul issue made her come out of the game. But if that wasn't an issue, it was her job. And she does it really well. Yeah. Really well.
And Mackenzie did run into foul trouble. Yep. And it was in the third period, I believe. She picked
up her third in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Her replacement was at the table, and unfortunately the clock never stopped from the time she picked up her second foul, and the next time the whistle blew, she picked up her third foul. You know, so we took her out then, and then at some point in the game, I can't remember, she picked up her fourth foul, so we had to take her out for a little while then too.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive because then things, once she sat down, started going BG's way, and that's when Megan Green started picking up more points.
And she's that good of a player, and you saw
it. She'll take advantage of that.
She knew. Haley Driscoll was on her for a little bit, Gabby Hunter. They're just not as tall and as strong. You know, they're not post play. They're fours, not fives. You know, they're forwards, not centers. And Megan, it took Megan a little bit. And then once Megan started scoring, and once you could see her, she wanted the ball, and she was just backing in then. And then we knew we had to put Mackenzie in and just hope she didn't pick up her fifth foul.
Yeah. The other thing I just want to touch upon was the officiating, and I usually am not too critical on of officials because I am one baseball official, and I've done officiating over the years. But I thought they played it a little too tight at times, and then at the end, they could have called it tight, and they didn't, and they did the right thing.
Right.
What were your feelings either way on how the game was officiated? And I know it's a tough question.
You know, I have to see them again next year. No, I don't. You have to play the game as it is. I think, and there was actually a whole conversation at the league coaches meeting this past weekend with some officials. It's a 3-man crew from quarterfinals on up. And we don't see 3-man a lot, and they don't work it a lot.
Right.
And it is different who calls what and what the rotations are. So, you know, I think that's part of the problem. I do think, and I actually said it at this meeting, there's some calls in games that if you watch a boys' game, they'd never make the call, but they make it in a girls' game. Now, I'm not saying they should be ref the same, but here's Mackenzie's third foul, which in my mind was no harm, no foul. She just bumped a player and who wasn't going anywhere. As a coach, I look at that and say, really? And then I know there's been talk about the very last play of the game. Did Haley foul Jamie or not? But there was a play earlier in the game that down at our end where it was a no call, where there was more contact of a girl driving to the basket. Now, whether they wanted to call it a charge or a block, each coach would have a different opinion, but it was no call, which was kind of mind-boggling based on how they were calling things. But you have to play with you have to play.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And during the game, it didn't. I had my arms up a few times, and I'm sure Scott did too. I wasn't really, Coach Hazelton. I wasn't really watching him, but
I was.
We all have our moments, but.
Well, one play in particular, we were called on a charge when it was clearly a block. The BG girl just leaped into the path, whoever that was.
I know.
It was like, and he calls it a charge. And I'm thinking, if you were going to run a play and teach officials what's a charge and what's a block, that would have been the play, and clearly it was a block.
It is probably in basketball one of the hardest calls to make, because you have to make it in the split second, and did she have position, didn't she? Yeah. And those were actually a number of the calls both ways were those types of things where you think, the defense had position, but you have to keep telling them to keep going to the basket.
Yeah, and the other theory I have between officials, and I think if you are an official that officiates the boys, and you come and you do a girls' game, they officiate it differently. And
there are some officials that if a girl falls down, there must have been a foul, and I'm sorry, it's not the way it is.
I agree.
These girls can play ball now.
They're on the floor, they're getting dirty, they're rolling, they're scrapping, and I think most of these guys who do boys games don't see that. And I think they just blow calls because they aren't used to it. But,
I think so. And the three-man and the setting for them too. It's a pretty big game, and you don't know how many games like that. They can't hear anything. Like on the floor, you can't hear anything. I felt like I was screaming and the words were coming back at me. I wasn't screaming at them. Nobody could hear it. Even trying to call a timeout was hard to do.
Yeah, it was. It was an electric crowd, an electric finish.
It was great. I'll take it any day. But
take those. Well, it's already in history books, so we don't even have to worry about reliving that one. Just watching the video from time to time. But real quick, we're going to talk about a couple of your players, and then we're going to get into the game.
Yep.
You got a couple seniors that left you, that are leaving you this year. Maggie Macgowen and Isabelle Munez. Talk to us about the two seniors that are leaving.
Well, Maggie
the team.
was our captain. One of the first players off the bench, has been a 4-year varsity player, and just a great kid. We're going to miss her a lot, and she could play multiple positions. She's probably, I think she says she's 5'8", 5'9". I think she's probably 5'7", 5'8", but like wherever. Go in for Mackenzie, go in for Rachel, go in, any given game, she would be playing almost all 5 positions, and that's the type of player she was. And we're going to miss her a lot. And then Isabelle, what a great kid. She and her family moved here from a Mexican border town of Arizona this year. So her senior year, she moves from the southwest to the northeast.
Nice.
Tries out for a team as a senior, that everybody knew each other. Even the freshmen knew the juniors and vice versa. And what a pleasure. What a great kid. She just, she fit right in. The rest of the team accepted her immediately. And it was great. She thanked all of us and
Nice.
for giving her the opportunity, because I talked to her here and there, and obviously it was hard to move. It's hard enough as a senior to move from one high school to another in New Hampshire. I mean, she was pretty much changing planets and suddenly had to change everything. So it was great to have her on the team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, then we had 6 juniors who, they're great kids, and Gabby Hunter is a sophomore, and then we did have 3 freshmen, and 2 of them were our first 2 off the bench.
Yeah, pretty unusual to have 3 freshmen making a varsity squad. So they got to be pretty special players. Talk to us about those 3 players.
Bree Purcell, who this year was our backup point guard, but comes in the game and makes things happen. And everybody says that,
That's when it comes in as a freshman but plays like a senior?
Right, and knows the game. I mean, like, watches the game, because many times, when she's on the bench, she's the one that will say, hey, coach, what they're doing this. What if, can have that conversation. And,
real confident
and then would get on the floor and
lights out. Plays lights out. I'm very impressed.
She's short, but don't tell her that. I mean, one game she led us in rebounds because she would just get in there and whatever. She doesn't let up. Nikki Tucci, another great player, came off the bench for our shooting guard, and just a natural ball player, great jump shot, just great understanding of the game.
Yeah.
And
5 points in that 4th quarter, by the way.
Yeah, and
big,
in
big
that 4th
5
quarter,
points,
2 of the freshmen were on the floor.
Yep.
And our 3rd freshman is Courtney O'Connell, who this year didn't get a lot of time because of who we had. She's like a 5'10" forward, and we have Mackenzie and Haley and Allie Glennon. It's hard to find a spot, but she's going to be great. She can jump. Standing, she could probably jump as high as this table, and just needs to get a little stronger, kind of grew a lot, comes from a basketball background because her parents both played at UNH, so knows the game. And, I see all 3 of our freshmen, we have 1 more year with our 5, 6 juniors. They're going to pick right up and just keep going with this program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, quite an impressive group, and I'm glad we had a chance to sit with you and get a little background before we get into the game. So we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back, and we'll do a little play-by-play. We'll pick it up in the 4th quarter, and we'll see the Lady Bulldogs win their D1 championship.
Sounds good.
Okay, we're back with Sue Thomas, and what we're going to do now is going to roll the 4th quarter. Bedford is behind 31-24, and we're going to start rolling through this right now. And so this is looks like we're coming into the bench here, Sue. What are you saying to the girls? You're down now 7 points. 4th quarter starting. You had some foul trouble with some of the players, and now you're telling the kids. What are you saying?
Well, and you see, Mackenzie's still not in. Basically, that it's not over yet, and we just have to keep working hard. And defensively, we played a really good, solid defensive game almost the whole way. So it was more about, getting the ball up the court and running the offense and finding those good shots and just staying calm. Yeah,
well, through the half, you held a high-powered BG team to only 20 points. So you're right. Defensively, you guys were phenomenal.
Right, yeah. And, so, we were probably, because Mackenzie wasn't in, talking to the I have to see I don't even remember who was in the game at the time, talking to so in this case, Haley would have been on Megan, so talking to Haley about how to play her.
Yeah.
And, just kind of to lean on her and don't give her anything easy.
So you got Glennon Driscoll on the floor, you got Purcell,
Caroline
Tucci,
Conrad. Yep.
And Conrad.
Yep.
And we're going to get the ball, and again, the crowd was in on this, very vocal.
Yeah, it was pretty loud.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, talk to us about the motion offense you guys run. And
the offense we run is called Read and React, and it's basically, it's a motion offense that we never quite got into the flow of it really well, but the other 4 offensive players, their job is to react to what the ball handler does, and she can do a number of things. But if she passes, she's supposed to cut through the paint. If she dribbles at someone, they're supposed to cut through. So it's a lot of movement, getting ball movement, getting people movement, because the best way to break down a defense is to just keep moving, and eventually it breaks down, move the ball from side to side. So that's basically, it's not set up for any one person to shoot the ball. And actually, I was doing some stats today, and in all of our games, we averaged 9.5 players scoring in every game, which means, that's pretty good that in every game at least 9 players score a basket. So the offenses get the first good open shot. It doesn't really matter.
So that looked like a good steal, but it might have been a foul called prior to the play.
I think that, there was a foul. It was still our ball. Allie stole it, but I think it was the play right before where I think he called the charge, actually.
No, one of those
charge block things that went our way. Yeah. So that was good.
All right, so you got
Breeze bringing the ball
bringing it up,
and now you'll see Allie passed and cut, Caroline passed and cut. They were playing great defense too. It was really a great defensive battle. There was a good play. Caroline just missed the pass, but that's how girls. We were after every loose ball, just diving on everything.
Well, you see that. I mean, that used to be how the boys played, but now the girls are playing that way.
Yeah.
And this game has come a long, long way, and you can see it, how intense both teams are playing, scrapping for the ball. So in the middle, that's
a Megan Green move.
That's a typical Megan.
Haley was playing her great, but once she gets the ball with her back to the basket, she's very strong.
Yeah. And it's tough to stop. She's either going to score, or if she doesn't, she's going to get fouled. Great move to the basket, and she got fouled. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's Purcell once again playing big time ball as a freshman, making the move. Smallest kid in the court goes down low and picks up the foul.
Yeah. And that's her game. So right now, and actually for the whole fourth quarter, we had 2 freshmen and 3 juniors on the floor. And to be on the floor, my team was very hard to pick a starting 5. So the 5 juniors started. They had played together the most, and we just kept it that way all season. But I always told them, it's not so much who starts the game, but who's on the floor at the end of a tight game.
Yeah.
If you have a choice, I'd rather be the one on the floor at the end of a tight game.
Yeah, she just missed that second of.
She made the first, missed the second, kind of
but,
how
but
our
it was, it was in and out. It rattled in and out, so she was right there. But she went 1 for 2 on that one. All right, so BG doing a pop up here at the foul line, rebound, nice rebound, Driscoll. So, and again, you guys pushed the ball up. That's a great move.
That was a great move by Nikki. And, we're just slowly coming back now. We're just slowly.
That's 33-27 now.
Yeah, so they went up when Megan made the shot early on. See, Mackenzie's back in because Megan was feeling it, and that.
Yeah.
And they called it travel.
Yeah, now they did call a lot of travels in that game.
A lot of travels.
And a lot of travels, and I noticed that, and I'm thinking, now is it something that the girls did all year, and these guys are just calling now?
There have never been that many travels.
I thought that was odd, yeah.
That I've ever seen.
Yeah, okay, now that was definitely a foul.
And that's where
she hurt
So herself. It's Nikki Hayner's 5th foul, and Allie Glennon's hurt.
But she stayed in, and she really didn't get hurt till afterwards. So she bruised something there for sure. Mm-hmm. And if we can, we'll probably have Mike replay that one and look at it because. So
this is where it's so loud. I'm actually trying to get Nikki and Bree's attention, and you'll see Haley went over and got them. I was yelling to them to come over because we had a foul shot. They could not hear me.
Yeah.
And and I actually made hand motions to Haley, who was probably 10 feet away from me. Because one thing I noticed was that we were now starting to push the ball and run the ball up the floor, and they weren't getting back as well.
They were slowing
and that's what I'm telling these 2 is just every time you get the ball, just run. Let's break, push it up the floor, and see what we get.
Yeah. So here's Glennon. She's got a.
It's a 2. Well, I think it was their 10th foul. but she makes the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And
there was a lot of foul trouble. So see, she still looks okay.
Yeah, she's still flexing that leg though. So
but
she
went
heard
down
it.
hard.
Yeah. And she's a gamer. She's in there. She's misses the second.
And this is where she starts running, and see it, and she pulls up.
She pulls up, and she went down.
So early prognosis is it's just a contusion, and it looks like, knock on wood, that she should be good to go in a few weeks. But you know, they're keeping a close eye on it.
Yeah.
So you know, our three big people all made All-State. Allie was one of them. She's also our other captain, and you know, here's a player, doesn't score a lot of points. She averaged a little over 5 points a game, but minutes-wise is always out there, a great defender. We had her for a lot of the game on Jamie Sherburne, who's their All-State guard, and that's what Haley brings to the game. She just rebounds well, and so now this is Allie's still on the floor, so our trainer was there. We have great training staff. So,
well, I noticed not only your training staff came out, but the guy from BG came out.
Yeah, and that's how they are. Every school you go to, the SNU guy, you know, that's one thing. I mean, it's about keeping the kids.
Talk about the unsung heroes of these trainers that are involved in teams, and you know, some of them are donating their time, and others are on the paid staff. But talk about a great asset to have when a kid goes down, and you can get some immediate attention right away.
Immediately.
Yeah, and they know that.
And we'll talk to people. You know, Allie had ice on it probably before you know, Eric's there. He's our Bedford's trainer. He's contracted out of Apple Therapy, but I mean, you go to awards nights and he gets the biggest cheer because the kids know that he's keeping them healthy.
Yeah, all sports too.
He does all sports, all year round.
Yeah, I've seen him at the football games. So. And you know, people don't think basketball is a contact sport. Well, guess what?
Oh, basketball is a contact sport.
It's a contact sport. So here we go.
So Allie's out, and Rachel Collins is in.
33-28 at this point.
So it's 5 points with 5 minutes to go. So we know now, you know, that's nothing. 5 points.
Yeah, so good tough defense. There's Green trying to get the ball.
So now she has Mackenzie on her.
And okay, so
you know she's good. Mackenzie will give up her points, but
well, that's the last basket she scores in the game, and it's a good thing because she was really starting to give you guys some trouble down low. But so here we go again. We're moving the ball well. We're cutting to the basket.
Waiting. So now, you know, Haley, and this is where, you know, another jump ball. So they just kind of tipped the ball out of Haley's hands, and she just dove right back on it.
Yep, so possession Bedford.
So we're running.
How many set plays do you have for out of bounds?
We have about 3 or 4 that work.
Yeah.
We have a lot more, but
driving
you know,
to the basket.
There's Bree going to the basket.
And, you know, that almost went.
It did, and we want those shots all day long because they, you know,
it's great. As a freshman, she sees the court and she sees an open. She's not afraid to take the shot. Is BG taking the shot, missing, Bedford rebound, and pushing it up again.
I just told Nick, you know, I told both of them, just keep pushing it up.
And there's another shot. I love the fact that she's not afraid to shoot the ball.
And now Nikki was right in there to get the rebound.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive freshman duo you have on the floor. So we're inbounding here. Again, BG, tough defense. That definitely was a foul, no question. So BG now is in trouble. I think we're at this point we're in double bonus.
Yeah.
And double bonus. How do you get in the double bonus again?
10 fouls and a half. 7 gets you the 1-and-1. Once they get to 10, you get 2 shots on every foul.
And that is.
And you know, quite frankly, the other thing going for the freshmen is they're probably my 2 best free throw shooters.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's nice having them on the line.
So just under 4 minutes to go, she hits the first.
I think this was actually a case. Did we make both?
I think she went 1-on-1.
Oh, of course.
If I did the,
everybody did.
I did the book right.
Yeah, that's about right. It's kind of how the day was going. But still, you know, we just kept chipping away at it now. So
Now this Jamie Sherborne, the number 10, the point guard for BG.
An amazing guard.
Yeah.
She's just amazing.
All right, again, another rebound, big rebound. I wonder what the rebounding stats were, because I think Bedford.
I don't have them with me. I probably should have looked it up before I got here. So this is what Mackenzie Brown
Nice
brings. You know, that was our 6'1" post player who actually at practice lately had been been killing us on the threes. I mean, she can play back to the basket, but she can also step out and take 10, 12, 15-footer, which makes her very hard to defend.
Yeah. So at one point, you guys went on 11-2 run. This has got to be part of it
probably
because
around
I'm
here.
not sure. There's a
And
big
that's where
steal.
this was huge when
This was
Haley
steal.
made this steal.
Driscoll
We were
down.
having a great defensive stop. They were trying to run. They run a pick and roll play that
Yeah.
we were getting through, and Haley just read a pass coming and
Great hustle
yeah.
down the floor.
So it's a 2-point game. So the Bedford crowd is now crazy.
Yeah, 2:45 to go, 2 points. Crazy. That's an understatement. We're out
So
of our
I started
mind.
having my timeouts out on the court because we couldn't hear anything
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, that's
now you're on this great run, and obviously you're talking to your players. What is the opposing coach saying to his team now that they're starting to slip away? What do you think he's saying to them?
You know, if it was reversed, I would just tell my players to calm down and to take care of the basketball.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, work the ball, use the clock, not necessarily a stall. Neither of our teams are the stall type, but
Yeah.
you know, work the clock as much as you can, take a good shot, but no matter what, take care of the basketball. Don't make passes that can be picked off, make the easy passes.
Yeah.
And then get back on defense, and you know.
So you got out on the floor 2 freshmen
And 3 juniors.
And 3 juniors.
We have
Wow.
Purcell and Tucci, and then Rachel Collins, Haley Driscoll, and Mackenzie Brown.
All right, so 2:44 and counting, 35-33.
And not a lot of points are scored in the last 2 minutes since.
Yeah.
But Jamie's a junior, Jamie Sherburne. She's already committed to Niagara, which is my alma mater, so I'm happy
That's
about
nice.
that.
That was Green missing a shot. She
Yep.
thought she got fouled, and what happened was she stopped playing.
Yeah.
And we just took the
and-
ball down.
right.
So you can't
And they,
talk about that. You really, as far as working through the play, and in that case, she stopped playing when she thought she got fouled.
right, and that's one thing that at least my girls know early on, that you don't do that. If you're going to stop playing, you can sit on the bench because there's a lot of people. You know, you can't ref the games. And
Another travel, by the way.
another there was a series of travels
Yeah,
that every
on
time
both
both
sides.
sides.
Yeah.
It was like we were trading travels
Yeah.
for a while, so at least it was even. You know.
Which I didn't think they were, but great
yeah.
move underneath. That was a super move by Driscoll. She lit it up.
You know, Allie Glennon went out, and Haley, I think, took it personally. I think she just stepped up her game.
Yeah. Well, she had.
You know, she had missed foul shots in the beginning of the game,
Sure,
6,
with a nice move.
and it, you know, it just, you could tell it was bothering her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she stopped driving to the basket for a long time, you know, because she had done that early in the game. Great move by
that's a great
Nikki
move.
Tucci,
Yeah,
which just
Tucci.
shows you know, another freshman. But Haley, by the end of the game, I think once Allie went out, she just said
Yeah.
to herself,
This is it. I'm stepping up.
I'm stepping up.
Yeah,
and
and she
boy,
did.
did she.
6 points in that quarter. Huge 6 points, by the way. And again, another miss, another BG miss. They just went stone cold. And
You know, and that's where, well, she did draw the foul. So that was that's Maddie Gibbs.
Yeah, Maddie Gibbs, another Bedford
Bedford.
product, and went through the system. And
Yep.
it was actually good seeing these Bedford kids for BG playing there.
Well,
You would think-
Maggie McGowan and Megan Green are best friends. So, you know,
okay.
yeah, and from long time back. So, but, you know, they know.
Yeah. Misses the first of
You know,
two.
and again, I think it's pressure for all these girls, for both teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
neither team has really been in this situation all season because we both won. The games that we've won were all by 15 points or more.
Yeah.
So
On both sides,
on
yeah.
both sides.
Right.
So you know, and as much as you practice, and we do practice 1-point situations and end of game situations, it's a whole lot different when you're actually doing
and
it.
BG, and I know BG blew out a lot of teams. They only lost one. Here's another drive to the basket, and kicked it back out.
Kicked it back, and Mackenzie ran it down.
Yeah.
And this is, you know,
Great
just good ball movement.
Great ball movement. And a foul. And now why that wasn't called, that was one of the things that drove me
She needs
crazy.
to, yeah, there were a couple, but you know, and again, just get up and go play, because, and then here there's a timeout.
Yeah. So 34.8, it's all tied up. And we're coming down to.
Yeah, this is his, the last one that Coach Hazelton takes. So it's still their ball. You can see Allie there hopping around with the ice.
I love that. She's hopping around. She's got ice and a wrap on her knee, and she's in the huddle. Talk about a gutsy kid.
But yeah, when I think it was Nikki was the one that made the shot that tied it up, and man, the place went
bonkers.
Because we were tied early in the game, so, and then we were tied in the first quarter for a few times, but that was it. We were losing the whole game.
Oh, the whole game.
We were never ahead.
Yeah, yeah. It was quite a. So we're coming down now. This is where we're going to start really watching this and paying attention. 34.8, tied up. BG's going to get the ball, and
yeah, there's actually a few good plays here, and actually Mackenzie makes a great play, but BG keeps the ball. So.
Okay, and
so it comes down here.
Sherborne's hands, number 10.
Right.
Great defense.
So they get it. Now watch Mackenzie here. Beautiful block shot. Beautiful block shot by Mackenzie.
Right.
And that was all ball.
And that was all ball.
But
now,
Mackenzie knocked it out.
Yeah, somebody might have interpreted that they bumped it from behind.
What game have you watched two post players not bump when they're when they're that close? So now, you know, a great inbounds play, and Jamie knows how to draw fouls.
And they got to push. So
you know, she just basically, she got the inbounds and just threw it up for a shot, which is what you want to do. And so again, I think.
So this is Sherborne here, number 10,
yeah,
right?
so it's tied up, and she has 2 shots right now.
Big, loud crowd for Bedford. You can see them with their fingers, and I'm sure they're.
So
she misses
for
the
her
first.
so at this point, the ref looked at me, and I just told the ref, if she makes it, I want a timeout. Which was great, because he actually looked at me, so I could kind of do that.
Veteran official, obviously.
Yeah, the guy up at the table was one that's done games, so she's not going to miss 2. You know she's not going to miss 2.
So we got the timeout.
This is where, so it's 24 points, and they're up by.
24 seconds to go, and
they're up by a point.
1. All right. So now, talk to me. What do you say?
I know what I'm saying here. They came over. I said, look, I'm not writing up a play. Sometimes, you know, a coach can design a play, and you get so caught up into the play. There were 24 seconds. We don't usually run an offense. It doesn't take us that long to score a basket. So I really just want them to come down and, you know, get the ball up the court, get some passing cuts going, get some movement going, and take the first open shot. So it wasn't wait till the last 10. It was, you see a shot to take, you take the first open shot.
Well, what I'd like to do is take this little clip coming up and clone it and sell it online on how you run a pick and roll or a give and go or a backdoor, because this was run.
Well, Haley and Mackenzie have done this all season long. Not with this much pressure, but they actually got a thing going where whoever had the ball on the high post would just glance at the other one.
And no panic here. I mean, I've seen this play before. No panic here.
And Rachel knew, I had 2 timeouts still, and Rachel knew that. And she's very smart. She's a smart ball player. She knew if it was getting close to a 5-second
Tucci to Collins.
So Collins has the ball now.
Okay,
and
nice.
you know, they're obviously in it, so
Driscoll.
There's trying to get it to Mackenzie, and
Brown,
there's
and there it is
head,
right
and there it is.
Right there, beautiful.
It was, you know, so she gets it, and it happens. So now Jamie Sherburne, being the player she is, okay, there was no foul.
There was no foul.
All right, good, because
that
was huge.
That was unbelievable, because when we scored that basket, the crowd exploded at a higher level.
Oh.
nobody could hear themselves think or talk.
And you know, there's 6 seconds left. We just went up by 1, and you know, nobody can hear anything. Our girls, my girls, just we've done it at practice, and you realize how long 6 seconds is. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
And they just, all 5 of them, they just got back. They got in her face. You know, Jamie Sherburn's a great player. You knew she was going to get it up the floor.
Yep.
And then, you know, they just each stepped in, and then, you know, Haley made the basket at one end and kind of stuffed her at the other end, and it was a great way. That was our only lead the whole game. We led for 6 seconds.
Yeah, that was which was the time to lead.
Which is the only time that if it's only one time to lead, it was a good time to lead.
Oh, that's great. That was an awesome play. We're going to probably rerun that a couple times, but the backdoor play, the give and go, run to the tee, classic layup. You take the lead, come down as a block. The horn sounds. What was going through your mind?
Oh my God, I can't believe we did this. You know, I don't even really remember. The place, the girls were crazy, the place was crazy, and you really couldn't, it was kind of surreal at that moment.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun place to be, right, if you were a Bedford fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one comment I had at that game, the crowd, the Bedford crowd exploded with joy and cheers, and it was only matched by the deafening silence on the BG side. They were crushed. They didn't know how to handle that type of loss because it's been few and far between.
Right. And I remember when I was in college, and our men's team was playing our arch rivals, and we were winning by a point. And I remember this because with 1 second to go, a missed free throw, he got the rebound and threw the ball. This guy on the other team, the length of the court. And the ball went in the basket, and just knowing, and it's like that feeling, like you're high, you think you've got it, and then just to like, I can't believe. So, you know, the BG kids, they're good players, you know, they're a great team. If, you know, that's how a championship game should be. It was, you know, teams 1 and 2 who battled it out to 1 point. And you know, we played them 3 times. We won 2 of them, but there's nothing to say that we play again, they don't win. It's that close of a matchup.
Yeah. You know, looking back a little bit, you came from the D2 environment for a number of years, and then you stepped up this year to D1, and you were playing with the big teams, the Centrals, the Memorials, the Trinities. Going into the season, what were your expectations?
Oh, we were excited. You know, Bedford kids, when they're playing in like middle school and even in the travel leagues, they're playing Londonderry, they play Merrimack, you play, you know, down in Nashua, you play Salem, you play all the D1 teams. A lot of the girls play AAU with a lot of those players. So, you know, D2, the top 8 teams in D2, top 6 teams, all could compete in D1. And, you know, we had the right team at the right time. So we were all excited to move up to D1. It was not a big shock or anything like that. The travel time's a lot easier. And you know, it's just going back to, you know, middle school, and always that's who we've always played. We've, you know, because the middle school has always been in the big league division or whatever, you know. So it's kind of just going back and playing the teams that we've wanted to play for a long time.
Yeah. And if there's one event outside of the championship game during the year that you'll always remember from this team, what would it be?
Well, beating BG in the holiday tournament by 17 points was a nice one. That was a game where just everybody just played well, and it was just one of those games. But, you know, as far as individual events, you could probably go through. But the thing I say about this team is that, you know, we went from 3 freshmen up to 2 seniors, and I've been doing this for a long time, and they're one of, not in terms of basketball, but just in terms of team, they're one of the best teams I've ever coached. They looked out for each other. there weren't egos. You know, as I said, different people stepped up and with the highest score each game. We would have 9 or 10 kids score in a game. So, and then they would do pasta parties and sleepovers, and they were just a great team. And that's, you know, that's what I'll remember. And I think looking back, years to come, they'll look back on this team and just say what a good time they had. And yeah, winning the championship certainly caps it off and makes it even better. But they're great kids, every one of them.
Yeah. And you had mentioned earlier in the, before we got on the air, some of the all-star selections or all-state selections are coming out.
Haley Driscoll was first-team all-state. Mackenzie Brown made second-team all-state. Allie Glennon made all-state honorable mention. And then Maggie McGowan, Mackenzie Brown, Rachel Collins, Caroline Conrad, Haley Driscoll, and Allie Glennon all made academic all-state.
Awesome.
That's only open to juniors and seniors, which is why, so, you know, my starting 5 and one of the first players off the bench also made academic all-state, which, you know, is huge.
Which is huge. It's a great...
They're student athletes.
They're student athletes, that's right. They're not just the athlete. They can, they bring more to the table.
They bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty awesome. So you got the first one, you know, the monkey off your back. You won the championship. So what have you done for us lately? What are you going to do next year?
Well, I actually went back to work this week and tried to catch up there. But, you know, the press asked me right after the game, and it was in some of the papers, what are your expectations for next year? Well, my expectation is that we're going to repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, what would I say? Well, we're going to try.
Yeah.
No, that's our expectation, knowing full well it's going to be harder. It's harder to repeat. It's going to be, you know, there's so many expectations, and now where this year people were out to beat BG, next year people will be out to beat Bedford.
Right.
So, you know, we're just going to have to bring it. And they're going to, girls are, I think, taking like 2 or 3 days off before they start their AAU seasons. And I'll take a little time, watch my daughter play softball, but then once the summer comes, start watching film again and getting ready for next season.
Do you run any clinics at all in the summer? Is there going to be the Sue Thomas basketball clinic?
We had a
up?
camp last year that was with the boys team, but since Mike Fitzpatrick's new and we don't know yet, so if there is, we'll get it out to the basketball league and all the, you know, we just got through this season and, you know, now it's time to start looking at what we're doing for the summer. Yeah. Our team will play in a summer league, we always have, in addition to whatever they're doing, and, you know, so we do things over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great to get some of the girls with some of the younger girls,
you know,
4th, 5th, 6th
almost
graders.
Like we've run a camp in conjunction with the boys' camp, which is nice, but it's hard. It's very crowded, and I think in some ways, haven't really talked to people about it, but I've thought about it. It'd almost be better if, like, the team did a couple-hour clinics here and there, and have, you know, you look at your daughter, she's like 11 now, I think.
12, 6th grade, sure.
You know, having the high school kids work with kids that age means a lot to both of them. Yeah. And I think, you know, maybe more in a clinic setting, you know, here and there, but we might have a camp. We have to look into that.
Because I know all those girls, my daughter included, and all those younger kids, 4th, 5th, 6th graders on up, look up to this team, and there was a number of them in the stands.
There were a number of them there, and after the Winnicunna game, I had to high-five a whole bunch of them, and they all told me good coaching, which I just thought from these little kids, it was nice to hear, you know. But, yeah, we had a good following of young basketball players.
Super. Well, you've done a great job, and congratulations once again. I mean, I'm still talking about it to this day, and we'll talk about it for years to come, and I'm glad we had this opportunity to sit down and do this. This was a unique,
it was fun
time.
You have to show the last play in slow motion because it happens quickly, but it was awesome.
We're going to try and put that one out for sure. But I want to thank Sue Thomas, head coach, Lady Bedford Bulldogs, Division I basketball girls champion for 2012-2013. And it has been a pleasure. So, Sue, I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing this. And we'll do it again sometime.
I hope so.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Nice job.
And here we go.
She can run the baseline right here if need be.
Championship play. Nikki
Take a
Tucci.
timeout if needed.
She's got the ball here. And gets the ball to Rachel Collins with 20 seconds left to go. They're going to try to get a set here. Haley Driscoll up top here. They're looking for a little something here. A little tentative. Mackenzie Brown has the ball and a pass and the layup with 6 seconds left to go. Coming down the line, no stupid fouls here. She goes to the hoop for the shot. And there's no whistle. They've won the game. Bedford High School has won the state championship game here in the Southern New Hampshire University with a turn at the very last play. Look at the Bedford crowd going crazy. And unfortunately for BG, a heartbreaking loss for 3 seniors. You can look